and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty. Court is back in session. With me, as always, is the man who is so metal that when he stares into the sun during a solar eclipse, the sun's eyes get damaged. Mr. Drew Celestino.
The sun blinks.
The sun
Before
blinks. It's not so much that the sun's eyes get damaged. The sun gets scared and hides behind the moon.
That's right. It needs the moon for cover.
You're that metal.
I'm that metal. Or it's actually just the sun is asking me to get Donald Trump to stop looking at it with my glasses.
Come on, we all knew that was coming.
Yeah.
We all knew that was coming.
Yeah, he'll use that as a new way to be a science denier. He'll just add to his repertoire.
Yeah.
I looked at the sun and it was totally fine. Okay, what do they know?
I'm huger than the sun.
All I can think is, I hope you go blind. Anyway, hi.
How are you doing? Good seeing you're in your normal chipper mood.
I'm a little under the weather, so you might have to walk me through this today. So,
well, this is a podcast. We do it every week. It's
yes, sir.
Based largely around Daredevil, but we talk about some other stuff too.
Okay, I think I can make that happen. So if I sound a little groggy, it's because I am. So,
alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that kind of leads us into our opening statements, and I guess we kind of got a preview of how your week was.
It's been sinusy, for lack of a better word. Strikes and gutters, ups and downs. I felt it coming on Friday when Defenders premiered.
Yeah.
And I did not attend your house because I was like, I just felt it coming and I was not in a good way. And it felt a little better on Saturday and Sunday. And then yesterday, it kicked back in full force. And I woke up this morning and I have a sore throat now. And it's just like, well, this is just all splendid. So I feel like crap. But the week itself was pretty adequate. I guess that's a good way to put it.
Drinking your fluids, taking your NyQuil?
I'm drinking fluids. I don't take NyQuil because it really messes me up in a bad... Like, it'll put me down, but much like... it'll put me down. I'll wake up a few hours later and I will be awake. Like, hyper awake.
Okay.
Like, there's no going back to sleep. And it's 3:30 in the morning and I can't fall back. It's not good.
Yeah.
I have enough insomnia problems on my own without medication. Then when you do wake up, you have that like that medicine-y head.
Fog.
That kind of fog.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's happening? So, no, just drinking my water and whatnot and staying hydrated, and it's a good time. My nose will be rosy red very soon from all the tissues I've been using. So, look forward to that. And that aside, it's really... I had a very busy Sunday. Saturday, I watched Mystery Science Theater, an episode of Mystery Science Theater on top of a good band rehearsal. And I can tell you right now that the episode of Mystery Science Theater that I watched it has to be among the worst I've ever seen.
Really? This is the new...
The movie is so bad that there's almost no redeeming it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about, like, the jokes and stuff were bad.
They did their best with what they had.
Yeah.
Sometimes the movies are just so terrible that you're like, well, here we are. And Wizards of the Lost Kingdom 2, oh, God.
Ooh.
Wow.
2, no less.
Oh, man. What a... Yeah, warning out there for anyone. This one is, oh, wow, it's bad.
No bueno?
No. They try, and it's bearable, but barely.
Yeah.
So anyway, Sunday, though, was a big day. I'm reskirting the deck. So Sunday was basically 8 hours or so, well, more like 6 to 8 hours of strenuous labor reskirting the deck. So picking up lumber, cutting lumber, hands and knees, ripping off old lattice and staples and hammering in old staples, and then drilling in the new boards and digging out a flower bed that was 2 feet of dirt basically that I had to get behind to put the new skirting in, and it was kind of a pain. And I'm only halfway done. My dad helped me out, but yeah, just me and him. I did the majority of the low work, so I was on my knees most of the day, just grinding, putting the boards in, and digging out that flower bed and getting dirty, laying in it because there's a giant hydrangea flower in that flower bed that I had to like get away from the deck. I had to like tie it off so I could get behind it. And even then it was kind of awkward. Oh God, dude, it was just strenuous. And I was in the sun for 8 hours. And you know what that does to you? It just like sucks the life out of you.
I just hate being in the sun, period.
I like it, except, you know, when you're out there doing work in it, you lose energy much faster. So when I was done, like I was done. But somehow I endured. SummerSlam was Sunday.
You watched?
Yeah. It's not good. It's not very good. Braun Strowman was fun, wrecking stuff. That aside, not good at all. NXT TakeOver on Saturday, though, was very good.
Good?
On paper, shouldn't have been. But in execution, it was fantastic. Every match was great, and the whole show was excellent. And on paper, it looked like crap, and I was like, not excited by it. Turned it on, fantastic. Next night, SummerSlam, the big main WWE, big show, stars, and you know,
yeah,
bleh,
bleh.
Ugh.
I'm trying to remember what was the hook of SummerSlam.
It's a big summer show.
Like
it's WrestleMania summertime.
Like Survivor Series, you've got the team battles, and Royal Rumble, you've got like the Royal Rumble.
There is no hook. It's SummerSlam.
Okay.
It's just it's the second biggest show after Mania.
All right.
But even that's kind of debatable because the Rumble is so much fun, you know. So I don't know. I'm giving up. I've abandoned all hope for the company.
Abandon all hope, all ye who enter.
That should be on the locker room door. That's the week, man. Here I am sniffling and being all miserable. Oh well, you know, actually today was kind of fun too. I spent some quality time today trying to acquire a pre-order on a Super Nintendo Classic.
Yeah, I saw the
that didn't go so well
going on between you and Alan.
Did not go so well for me.
Sorry, man.
Don't blame me. Blame retailers and scalpers. That's all I can say.
Don't you want to get it from GameStop? Don't they have got like a bundle thing going?
You can't even get those right now.
I hate bundles.
I hate bundles too. They're
bundles.
terrible. The ThinkGeek ones especially were awful, but they sold out because supply was drying up everywhere else. Sure enough, if you go on eBay right now, you'll find about 10 pages of people scalping them. I don't know. That is the problem.
Yeah,
I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know how eBay just doesn't go like, no, we don't sell pre-orders on eBay. I don't know how I don't know how you get around it, but there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure you'll get one. You got a NES Classic.
I did. I know. I just want that warm security blanket saying confirmed. That here's your confirmation number.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the genius of Nintendo. They're completely recreating the retro experience.
Oh?
Like when you did back in the day when we didn't know when a game was going to come out, we had to stand in line for hours because the store might have some.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, that's overrated. I'm a working man, sir. I don't got time for that.
We like the evolution of street dates.
I like going on my phone and just pushing a button and like, I have it. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming in the mail.
Yeah. The hunt is not as fun when you're the one that has to drive around in holiday traffic.
Yeah.
And
when you have adult responsibilities, the hunt is not quite as fun.
According to my parents, the hardest Christmas present the hardest time they ever had acquiring a Christmas present for me was in fact Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Really?
They said they went all over, and I think they ended up paying like twice.
Wow.
Retail.
That's not the game I would have expected for that. That's fascinating.
Got to remember, once again, we're at a time there's no street dates. There's no online, so you can't check, inventory of stores and whatnot. So you just got to go out and hunt. And hope.
That I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a little sad, but I will find a way. The will is there. I will. It will be mine. Yes.
Every confidence in you.
Good. You should. I'm crafty like that. Anyway, that's what's up, man. How was your week?
My week. I had a week, sir. My week started last week, Wednesday night, when, thanks to my good friend Brian, who was very kind to furnish me with a free ticket to see the one, the only Guns N' Roses at New Era Field, and that was a really, really enjoyable experience.
All right, good. You were iffy on concerts, so I'm glad you enjoyed it.
No, I mean, I still enjoyed it. I will say this. I am super appreciative to Brian for doing that for me and, making sure I had that experience. I probably would not have paid the money for the seats we had because we were at if the stage is at one end of the football field, we were at the exact opposite end in the 200s.
So like not quite the upper deck, but in the middle. But you're still far back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and exactly how I commented earlier, it was what I thought was little dots running around on stage. I essentially watched the concert on television.
But you're there.
But I'm there. It was a fun experience. I really enjoyed it. I really got into it. We were a little disappointed because remember we were talking one game night and we were wondering who the opening act was.
Yes.
It was not the opening act.
It wasn't Deftones.
No.
That's a
it
bummer.
was live.
Oh, I remember live.
I remember live too. I'd put Throwing Copper might be in my top 5 albums of all time.
It's called Throwing Copper. They should have called it Throw It in the Trash. I'm good.
No.
I'm good with live. And the guy's little crazy little ponytail he had for a little while there.
But we were kind of disappointed because we both wanted to see live, but we just couldn't time. Like they went on stage at 6.
What time'd you get there?
We got there I think at about 6:30.
Okay.
Because both had jobs that we had to get home from and kids to take care of and whatnot before we
You
departed.
missed them?
Yeah, we completely missed. We were walking into the stadium to hear the last half of Lightning Crashes.
Huh. Okay.
So,
wow, they didn't get a very long set then, did they?
Probably. I mean, we had a bit of a walk. We parked in some dude's yard. Those people around Orchard Park make bank on event days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the byproduct is they have to live in Orchard Park.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry to our Orchard Park listeners, by the way.
Well, I mean...
I'm not a Southtown fan. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not a Southtown. I love snow, and I still wouldn't want to live in the Southtowns. I mean, they probably got like 6 inches today.
Yeah, in August.
But no, it was really good. They played for about 3 hours. And
did they go on time?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. I think tickets had like 7:30. I think they ended up going on like 7:45.
Axel's a good boy now.
Yeah.
Well,
and not only that, Axel's voice maintained throughout the entire show.
A friend of mine went as well from Cleveland. He drove up. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to hang out, but he said the band was great and Axel was hit and miss. But for a guy his age, singing that kind of stuff, that's not easy.
Yeah.
So,
especially when you haven't spent your whole life taking care of your voice the way you should.
Yeah.
So I was happy for what we got. Pretty much every album was represented, including Chinese Democracy, which was weird to hear.
Slash?
With Slash and Duff.
If I'm Slash, I'm going like, no, I'm not playing it.
I think they had a hand in writing some of the stuff. Because you gotta remember, that album was in development for well over a decade.
True. That's interesting.
So they played 3 of the 4 good songs off Chinese Democracy. The one I wanted to hear the most off Chinese Democracy they actually didn't play, which was Madagascar. But yeah, it was a really great show. Seeing Slash live is like seeing one of the wonders of the world. My friend Brian has experience with guitar. He was in a band and still plays on occasion today. And he was just watching Slash. He's like, it's just not fair. It's not fair what that man's capable of doing with a guitar. And you gotta...
Slash is good.
Slash is better than good, sir.
He's good.
He's better than good.
As a guitar player, I'll tell you he's good.
Better than good.
If he didn't have a top hat, he wouldn't be as rated as he is. I'll put it that way. He's got a look.
We're gonna politely agree, disagree on that.
Oh yes, I'm clearly wrong about Slash's abilities on the instrument that I perform on as well. Okay,
we will politely agree to disagree.
All right.
I'm not saying you're a bad guitarist.
It has nothing. It has nothing to do with me. It has objectively has to do with things I know about the instrument and Slash's ability to play said instrument versus other people that I know that play the instrument and their ability to play said instrument. He's good. I'm not crapping on him, but he's good. He's done a lot with good ability. Good for him. Take away the image, and he's just good. But that's what makes rock stars, man. They're bigger than just their talent. So
yeah. You done crapping on my fun experience?
hell no. I'm glad you had fun.
So you're not done crapping on it? You're gonna.
I'm listening. I'm poking. I'm glad you had a good time.
I know.
I'm glad you went. I'm glad you get to see your favorite band.
Yeah, it was good. What? They had a couple merch booths up.
Did they have the ones outside and inside and all that? Like
Yeah,
that's
there's
good.
like the
A lot
one
do that
on the
now.
field.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple outside. I'm like, I know it's going to be overpriced. Maybe it'd be nice to get like a T-shirt for this or something. I like get Julie a T-shirt.
What were they going for?
$40.
Oof. That's
For,
steep, man.
for a T-shirt that I was going to be able to wear once and not fit me after I wash it.
No, they're all pre-shrunk now.
Because concert tees are not renowned for their...
They're good.
They've gotten better.
Oh yeah, they're all pre-shrunk now. You don't got to worry about it. And as a youth, because that happened to me once, I learned. So all my choice ones anyway, I don't put in the dryer. I hang dry them all. And I have a lot of T-shirts, so
I as well.
But I keep them in. I like to wear them, so that I keep them as good a shape as I can. 40 is steep. I'm not surprised, but that is a little steep.
$40
I think
for a
Metallica's were like
T-shirt.
30.
$40 for a T-shirt. $25 for a keychain.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, that's concert merch. Let's get going.
Just remember, that's where the bands allegedly make all their money. But those prices, I can see why.
Well, I mean, with the way record sales are nowadays,
Yeah.
they don't make money off the record sales anymore. They why these shows are so damn expensive.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that and, Ticketmaster.
In
But
a drastic musical gear shift, I saw Sarah McLachlan was coming to the casino in Niagara Falls. Folks, I wish you could see the look on Drew's face right now.
I'm just afraid she's going to come on stage and show a video of sick dogs
Yeah, right.
and bum everyone out before the show.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. But no, her tickets are like starting at $70. And I was
Wow.
like, no thanks.
She commands $70, Sarah McLachlan?
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's what they're selling for.
Then again, I shouldn't be surprised, but I didn't know the Sarah McLachlan market was that hot for a $70 ticket. But
Well,
I guess it is.
It's not necessarily your market per se, so you may not have.
I guess not. My
finger on
frame
the
of
pulse on
reference
it.
is a little off.
Yeah. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, I had off work for recovery, which wasn't that bad. Like, I was home by 12:30.
You took the day off?
Yeah, I took the day off. Well, I'd never been to a concert of that size, so I had no idea.
What'd you think was going to happen?
I don't know.
They're going to make you run laps on the field?
I don't know. I'm old.
Okay.
Oh, let me tell you this.
That's funny.
Let me tell you this.
That's great.
It was kind of like I did enjoy where we were sitting because everyone was just kind of chill.
Yeah.
Like, granted, the age range of the Guns N' Roses fans got considerably older, so you're probably not going to have a lot of what you had the last time they came here in '93, which was beer being thrown everywhere and so on and so forth. There were two guys sitting in the section over from us who I could only classify as concert hipsters
Okay.
because they showed up in pastel plaid shorts and matching button-down short-sleeve shirts with the collar, and then they both bought a Guns N' Roses concert shirt and put it on over the shirt.
Those gentlemen had no right to be at that show.
So the collar is over the T-shirt, and I'm just like, I want to be all-inclusive, but you guys are doing it wrong.
Yeah, those guys should not have been there.
Well, I was a very wide age range at that.
I would
show.
imagine there would
surprised.
be.
So yeah, that was good. So Thursday I took off. William had a bit of the sniffles, so it was.
It's going around, trust me.
Yeah, it was kind of. So I was pretty much taking care of him all day. Friday was Defenders, which we're going to get to in the show. You unfortunately had to bow out for reasons previously mentioned. Mike Hoffert and his lovely fiancée Chelsea joined us.
Nice.
that was fun. We did a couple episodes. And then Saturday, X-Wing tournament.
How'd you do?
3rd place.
Okay.
First time I ever placed at a tournament.
I thought you won a tournament.
No.
Oh.
No, I haven't won a tournament yet.
Okay. Well, good for you.
So yeah, it was a really good tournament at Two Kings Gaming in the Eastern Hills Mall. So shout outs to them. I won my first 2 matches and then made it to what is essentially would be considered the final match. But then it got completely destroyed in the final match. So I got points wise, I got bumped down to 3rd.
Ouch.
Yeah. So yeah, but it was a good time. Big tournament this weekend, this Saturday, store championship tournament. It's actually part of the I guess they call it the Beef and Wing Brawl. It's a big miniatures gaming thing happening at the Buffalo Marriott.
Wow.
So gonna do that.
Beef and wing brawl?
Yeah.
Will there be beef on weck and chicken wings for everyone to enjoy?
I'm kind of hoping.
Okay.
Because,
That's false advertisement otherwise.
Yeah. Just I'm just looking up now to see the name of it. But yeah, that was Saturday. So that was a really good time. Won store credit and everything.
Cool.
Bought a ship.
More ships.
More ship.
The house expansion plans have to be adjusted now because they have to be a little bigger.
I can't. Well, yeah. The the tackle box is nearing capacity. I'm not gonna lie. I guess. Yeah, it's the brawl hosted by Beef and Wing.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Whatever that means. Sure.
August 25th, 27th at the Buffalo Marriott Willersport. Check it out. But yeah, it's not just X-Wing. It's a whole bunch of miniatures games.
Cool.
Warhammer 40K, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Saturday. Then Sunday, the wife and I went to a new comic shop, which opened up not 10 minutes from us on Webster Street. Pulp 716
I've heard of said store.
Opened up a new location. It's a really nice location. They got a little cafe in there and everything. It's really cool. So go check them out. Nice new shop. Good selection of stuff for the size of the shop it is. You can go there. It's kind of like a nice place where you can kind of go and they got some board games there you can play and whatnot while you just kind of chill out. It's not
expressly a comic shop. It's more like a hangout place that sells comics.
If I had to qualify it, I would say that it is a comic shop because the bulk of what they are presenting to you is comics.
Yeah, but there's food and stuff.
It's a comic shop and how newer comic shops nowadays, the direction they're going in.
Okay.
It's not a comic shop in the tradition that we are accustomed to, what we grew up in, where it's just comics. You go in,
get your comics and you leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
here you get your comics and you stay.
Yeah, here you can get your comics.
That.
You can grab a cup of coffee, chill out, hang out. So it's really cool, and I wish them well.
Awesome.
So that was the week.
Cool.
So, dear listener, if you would like to tell us about your weeks or send us any questions or comments, of which we have a couple for this week, you can do so at the following social media locations. You can reach us on Twitter at DevilsDoPod. You can go to Facebook.com/DevilsDoPod. You can email us at TheDevilsDoPod@gmail.com, or you can find all this information on our website, TheDevilsDoPodcast.com. That being said, Drew, it is time to start some cross-examination because we got some emails, sir.
All right.
Well,
how spoilery are they? Do we have to worry about that? Because I'm full disclosure before we get into Defenders, I did not binge watch Defenders. I watched one episode of Defenders.
Shame on you.
Hey, man. Busy guy.
No, they're not spoilery.
Okay.
So we will start out with...
So, dear listeners, I'd appreciate it if you don't spoil the Defenders for me, because I'm going to be watching this at my own pace.
Excuse me.
It's going around.
Yeah. We will start out with the Hawk and Dove of the Devil's Due.
Who's Hawk and who's Dove?
I don't know. You know what? Alan's Dove.
Well,
Alan is Dove.
Nice.
For reasons that'll probably be discussed later when we get to his question.
All right, let's go.
So we'll start with Mr. J. Gelsomino. He said, first, I'll answer my question from last week. Spider-Woman, me, Venom. Folks, if you want to know what that means,
go back to
and
last
listen
week.
to last week. We're not going to dive back into it. Carl and Drew, would you rather own your own drive-in theater, but once a week you need to watch your least favorite movie and your favorite movie, both dubbed over by Fran Drescher and Gilbert Gottfried? A shark, but he's pretty ugly like the one from Jaws 3, or the next 5 years of comics to be all starring the talents of Rob Liefeld and Rick Remender?
Oh. Which would I rather?
Yeah. I'm going with the movie theater.
Me too.
Yeah.
I can deal with it. Bad movie night can be fun.
Yeah. Especially with those dub voices. I mean, if I got to endure Star Wars with those voices, then we'll hear, the bad movie will be worth it. And to have comics not done by those two. Although, I will say, Rick Remender's Deadly Class, title worth reading.
Curveball with those two, as bad as I find them to be.
Well, we have said that Remender, when he's not doing on stuff that he hasn't created.
A blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while? So, I mean, it can't all be bad, right? Right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Right.
Deadly Class, it's a good book.
Rob Liefeld, I'm struggling, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
He might be the exception to the rule with blind squirrel.
Sometimes a blind squirrel gets rabies and has to be put down.
That's
what you do.
Yeah.
Tough luck for the squirrel.
He's doing all right, I'm sure. So,
okay, Carl, which Street Fighter would win in an actual street fight a la Rocky V?
Oh,
but I mean it's already Street Fighter. So what? So are you saying like they can't throw fireballs and whatnot?
Yeah, it's got to be straight up.
Just straight up.
Yeah,
Zangief.
Zangief. Well, I'm going to throw a little salt on Zangief. I know it's your question, but you answer it. So
yeah.
To be fair, Zangief is a trained pro wrestler. Pro wrestling's a work. He might not be a good fighter.
Yeah, but considering how big he is,
that don't matter.
So are you saying going with like a Balrog?
If you were to give me Balrog versus Zangief, I would probably take Balrog. Because Balrog actually punches to punch. You don't pull those punches.
Yeah, but Zangief trains by wrestling bears.
Are they declawed and defanged bears? Like,
no, look at the scars on his body.
Yeah, that could be kayfabe, though.
All right, we're going to move on to your question. Drew. Pleasure, wed, eviscerate. Murder,
Yeah. I'm with
murder,
you.
sex, marry.
Uh-huh.
Kyle Reese, Michael
Ooh.
Biehn version.
Yeah.
John
Wait,
Conn.
what other version would there be?
Anton Yelchin from Salvation.
I didn't see that movie, and I'm glad. Okay, moving on.
You know what? Everybody craps on it. I like it.
Okay. I've heard the Christian Bale rant, which is glorious.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. It's as close as I got to see in the movie, though.
John Connor, Furlong version.
Okay.
Guns N' Roses played You Could Be Mine.
Yeah.
Big fan of it. Or Miles Benedict Dyson.
Ooh.
I think we all know who the kill is.
I got to kill Everett Furlong. Sorry. I've seen how
can't go around killing people.
I've seen how his story ends in his, career trajectory. I'm going to perform a mercy killing. Sorry, Edward, you're dead. Did you a favor.
We're not going to let you make a Crow movie.
I think I will pleasure Kyle Reese. And I'm going to marry Mr. Dyson. He was a family man.
Yeah. Good guy.
Yeah, good guy. Good guy to settle down with. Reese, I don't know if he's a good guy to settle down with. What with the night terrors and based on pictures I've seen of Michael Biehn at conventions in recent past, he likes the sauce. I don't want to live with that.
It's just, if you're going to be in that situation, you want to be the one that likes the sauce.
That's right. So I'm going to marry Dyson.
All right, Jay, thank you as always for the questions.
Thank you for that.
Alan Waiters. Mr. Alan Waiters.
When doves cry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sensing some rage.
Well, Alan was at Gen Con.
He was at Gen Con.
And I asked for a favor. Apparently couldn't be troubled with waiting in a small line for a little while.
Small line? That was no small line, sir.
It wasn't the worst line in the world.
No one wants to wait in the line.
Yeah. Now I gotta wait till next month to get those X-Wing ships.
Oh, no. A month.
If it was for something like a Switch before you had one, or a SNES Classic, and he wouldn't wait in line, you'd feel the same way I feel right now.
With those two things, there's a strong possibility that I might not get one for a long time. These ships will be released in a month.
Yes.
You're going to be fine.
But I don't have them now.
This is true.
Carl,
What did Cap tell us? Patience.
Shut up.
You're going to call Cap a liar?
Carl and Drew.
Yes.
If you were to go to Gen Con, would you consider doing a live podcast at the con? Other than board gaming, what activities would you do at the con? Well, if a friend asked me to grab him something, I'd wait in line for him. That's what friends do, Alan.
I think that would be fun, actually, to go to a convention like that and do a podcast there and talk to people and to, in games and stuff, get some perspectives. So yeah, I'd definitely be interested in doing that. The only weird thing about Gen Con is it's like during the week. It's like on like a Wednesday.
Yeah, it starts on Wednesday.
As a working man, that's tough for me to do, unfortunately.
My friend Adam and I are talking about going to Origins next year. And Origins is kind of like a smaller version of Gen Con that's in Columbus as opposed to Indianapolis.
A little closer.
Yeah, so not as bad a drive.
I would like to go to Indianapolis, though, even though the Midwest kind of frightens me. But
well, tornadoes and such.
Yeah. That, and it's just kind of like Blandsville.
Well, Alan was all about getting you beer. He was all about that. Hey, Drew, you want this beer? Hey, Drew, you want this beer? Hey,
fair,
Drew, you want this beer? I wanted one thing.
But there was no line for the beer. And I had to turn, unfortunately, as gracious as that is, Alan, and as much as I would have loved it all, unfortunately, these places didn't have cans or bottles, so like growlers were the only option. And unfortunately, a growler is probably going to kick in a day, 2 days tops, and then it's going to be flat. And then, I'd still drink it, but I would not enjoy it nearly as much because carbonation is kind of key. But what would I do besides game at Gen Con?
Besides game.
People watch and judge. Like I do at every convention.
At Gen Con or outside Gen Con?
Both.
You're so harsh on your own people.
To be fair, I have been giving this much thought over the years.
Oh, here we go.
No.
I'm not a comic guy.
I'm into a lot of stuff. I'm into a lot of stuff, and I don't identify with any one scene that I enjoy.
That's fine.
Metal, comics,
dual citizenship,
wrestling. No. I like all of these disparate things, but I find the scenes attached to all of them are just I can't abide by them.
To be fair, have you been to a gaming convention?
I have not.
Okay, then you don't know for certain.
I don't know for certain.
You're basing on comic conventions.
And comic conventions, wrestling shows, heavy metal shows. Every scene's got its little clicky thing.
And not for nothing, comic conventions have gotten a lot better.
Have they?
Yeah, they have.
I guess. They're more pop cultural now, which attracts a wider array of people, but I don't know. This is just me talking, though. This is how I feel about my own interests. Like, I like a lot of stuff, but I don't feel the strong fan connection to that stuff. Correct. Let me rephrase that. I feel the fan I'm a fan of the thing. The scene around the thing, I just don't want to be bothered because there's too much baggage attached to all that. I like to kind of meander. I like the I float in, I float out.
You're lucky you're married, or else you'd be living out in a desert hut like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'd be okay with that, actually.
Hermit.
No, I'd be fine with that. That's good. You know what Obi-Wan didn't have to deal with? Other people. Man, you call that exile? I call that heaven.
Okay, Drew.
Yes.
If you were to compose the theme for Netflix's Castlevania Season 2, which team would you pick? Which theme would you pick?
Man.
Vampire Killer? Bloody Tears? The Tragic Prince? or Simon's theme?
These are all really, really good. I mean, wow, it's really hard, actually. I think I gotta go with the one from Castlevania 2. Just because. I'm not sure which one that is, but
Tragic Prince, Symphony, because he puts in parentheses Symphony of the Night.
Not that one. I love that one.
Bloody Tears.
Yes, that one. That one. I think it's got to be that one.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
I've heard numerous metal covers of that. And
Sure.
always good.
Tragic Prince is great, by the way. I mean, yeah. Oh, Symphony of the Night. Oh, I love you so much. Anyway, but no, Bloody Tears for sure. Yes, definitely. Castlevania's got such good music. Oh my God, it's a shame. It's tragic they didn't use any of that music in that show. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Carl, instead of Duty Dice Day, would you have the Wrath of Carl Day, where there's games to unleash your wrath on your friends with games like Cutthroat Caverns, Blood Rage, Rising Sun, Clank, Cash and Guns, etc.? Well, Alan, I'll tell you, I would not necessarily unleash the wrath on all my friends, but I know someone who's probably going to catch a little wrath. They couldn't be bothered to stand in a line.
Oh, come on now.
I will be fair to Alan. I will be fair. There's two things I asked him for. I asked him for the Guns for Hire expansion pack from X-Wing. That's what he didn't want to stand in a line for. And I also asked him for the new game from Red Raven Games, Klondike Rush. He did find that. He's like, I found it. It's $40, but it's like there's two other places I can go to where it's cheaper. So I was like, nah, never mind.
Okay.
But yet again, couldn't stand in a line or a friend. Alan's got a weird definition of friendship. I'm just saying.
Wow.
I would have stood in line for him. You know what? Friendship is important.
Okay. Would you say friendship is magic?
Not ours anymore.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Moving on. It got cold in here. It got real cold in here.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions.
All right.
From Mr. Chris Taylor.
Sick.
Dudes, on the last episode during a review, you mentioned Mysterio, not of the 619 variety. And although it seems somewhat more that the new Spider-Man franchise might be going with Scorpion next movie, do you think he'd be a logical choice as a cinematic Spider-Man villain? I enjoy the way they managed to pull the current MCU story into Vulture's origin. Do you think there's a way they could marry that into Mysterio's? Please pass the Electra Nachos, Chris.
Mysterio's a weird one.
Yeah.
Because, like, he's a B-tier villain for a reason.
I love the character, but I'll be the first to admit it would be really hard to make. It would have to be, well, I mean,
like, his origin is weird.
It would be a smaller scale movie, which in a lot of ways Homecoming kind of was.
Yeah.
As far when you look at like all the other stuff in the MCU,
there was
Homecoming was very small scale. There was no planet threatening.
Right. Which was refreshing as hell.
Ring of energy crap in the sky.
Exactly.
So in that sense, yeah, they could do him. I think there's some interesting tweaks you could do to him, make him work, but I just don't think the character is strong enough.
I don't think. Yeah, I think as his whole like special effects origin, how does that in comics it kind of plays, especially for the 60s and the 70s when Mysterio was like, a big deal. There was more movie magic to be had.
Yeah.
Nowadays, what is he like? He's just a guy in a mocap suit.
I've always said that like
everything's CGI now. So
also when you think of it like the technology and MCU that's available to the right people is a couple decades ahead. So
sure,
I've always said that if he was going to do something like that, like augmented reality, holograms, things like that, it's a couple steps within the realm of what they're kind of. I mean, you look at all the stuff that Stark interacts with.
Sure.
So, maybe, but same time, it's weird because, like, I don't think he's necessarily strong enough to be the main villain.
Okay.
But I also think
I was just going to say that.
I also think he's too strong to be a B villain. He's not like a henchman villain. He's in this, like, weird void.
But they could, I could see them using him in that kind of henchman assistant kind of role to a bigger bad.
I don't think that would work very well. But that's just me. I mean,
I don't know if it would be true to the character because he's a little more maniacal, but if you're going to put Mysterio in a movie, that's probably the way that you get there to make it work. Because I don't think he stands on his own as a big enough threat, given his repertoire.
Don't get me wrong. If they announced he was going to be in the next one, I'd be excited because he is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains.
Maybe if Sony gets around to putting in that Sinister Six movie together, he can be in there.
Yeah, well, let's talk about something else.
All right.
Chris, thank you very much. Our next series of questions comes from Mr. Tom Fenzel.
All right.
First off, your interview really wanted me to play X-Wing. I didn't have it. Did have the old PC game Star Wars Rebellion. I think Tom might be a little confused on X-Wing. X-Wing's not a video game per se.
Tabletop game.
It's tabletop miniatures game.
But there was an X-Wing video game, wasn't there?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
X-Wing and TIE Fighter are two of the best Star Wars games I've ever played. And actually, at Gen Con, they announced a new wave of X-Wing ships, and the Imperial ship is a ship that debuted in TIE Fighter that people playing X-Wing have been begging for years. It's kind of like a assault shuttle.
Okay.
Think of the Imperial shuttle, shrink it down, make it just like a two-man ship, throw a lot of guns on it.
Sounds like something that the Empire would do.
Yeah. But yeah, so we definitely appreciate that, Tom. Glad you enjoyed the interview. Carl, where do you find these new board games? Terraforming Mars sounds like fun too. Terraforming Mars is fun. I would definitely like to play it a little bit more. Again, it could use a little more player interaction for my tastes, but I'm willing to give it a couple more goes. As far as in this area, where do you find board games? There's numerous places you can go to. David Adams Card World on Transit in Williamsville, or on Sheridan in Williamsville by the Eastern Hills Mall, has a great selection of tabletop games. Collectors Inn on Delaware has an amazing selection of tabletop games. Dragon Snack Games, that's on Millersport Highway. Two Kings Gaming is good, but predominantly just for miniatures gaming, like X-Wing or Warhammer 40K, stuff like that. And to a lesser extent, Barnes & Noble and Target are kind of throwing their head to the
Target's
the board
getting
game
quite a little selection.
ring. Barnes & Noble's actually got they've got that good frontline big games everyone has, but they're also kind of getting more and more
a little deeper,
better selection. I would say right now, currently, at least for like physical stores, Barnes & Noble has a much better selection than Target. So yeah, those are definitely places you can check out. Drew.
Hi.
Can we get a review on Splatoon 2? It's a game I was looking into buying on Switch, but not sure.
I'll give you my snap judgment on Splatoon 2. It's great. It's a great game, super fun. If you want a refreshing take on team-based shooters, Splatoon 2 is it for you. Like, it's not about kill-death ratio. It's not about gratuitous headshots and stuff. It's about territory. It's about control. It's about strategy. It's about play style. And it's about fun. And it's very different and very refreshing in that way. So it's a great game. It's fantastic. I'm gonna dock it though a little bit, but this is for me. If you played Splatoon 1, Splatoon 2 is not quite the revolution all over again. It's just a better version,
Refining.
a refined version of the same game. So for me, I don't find myself quite as I'm not playing 2 nearly as much as I played 1 because it kind of feels like, well, it's Splatoon.
Well,
But if you never played Splatoon and you have a Switch and you want to see what the hype is all about, Splatoon 2 is absolutely going to blow your mind. It's bursting with personality. It's easily Nintendo's like most successful new franchise that they've had in a long, long time. It's got tons of personality, lots of character, super fun aesthetic and music, and it's just very fun. And the game itself is just fantastic. So yeah, that's my kind of take on Splatoon 2. It's a great game, and if you haven't played the first one, then man, you're in for a treat because it's great.
Yeah, can't reinvent the wheel every time out.
No.
So sometimes you just got to refine it, polish it.
They're doing a great job of that. I mean, they've really. The first one struck a chord with people, and the second one now would be thanks to the success of the Switch is reaching more people, and it's taken off in a big way for Nintendo. So it's good to see.
Okay,
They're adding to their already deep bench.
that indeed they are. Question for both: what are your opinions on video games no longer having good instruction booklets? When old Nintendo 1 showed enemies they would fight and a bit of backstory.
I'm a big sucker for physical, tactile stuff.
Yes.
So I miss instruction books and boxes and you know, I miss cartridges. To me, a CD is just not nearly as fun. The big cart, slam it in the system. Like I
Get that click.
Yeah, it's just satisfying. And instruction manuals especially. And I never, yet again, another reason why I never liked Sega. Black and white manuals? Pfft, nah. Nintendo always had color manuals, full color manuals.
Black and white was just on Master System. Genesis had color manuals.
Genesis had color covers, but the insides were all black and white.
No, well, not every one, but some of them had.
By and large, they were
color
mostly
inserts.
black and white. Nintendos were always in color. Always. It was,
Did you have a
Nintendo
Sega Genesis?
Friends did. Tried to get me into it. Didn't like it. Never did. Never took to it.
I had a Sega Genesis.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not surprised.
Feels like an insult.
Oh, Sega. Oh, Sega. You try so hard. But yeah, I miss I miss manuals. I miss packaging. I know, like the new jewel cases, they have like the perforated insides for to use less material to save the environment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I respect that, and I know that it's probably not worth for the majority of people. It's not worth printing a manual that no one's going to look at. Games have these whole tutorial levels and stuff. Yeah. I get it. I just like having packaging, and I'm a sucker. Like I got one of my Nine Inch Nails EPs or LPs came this week, and I just like the record and the booklet. Like, wow, this is so. It's just holding it in your hand. It's it's like I said last week about comics. I like the idea of going digital, but just having something in your hand that you can touch gives you a deeper connection. So yeah, I miss manuals. Yeah,
I mean, I miss them for nostalgic reasons, but as far as practical applications, like you mentioned, I'm fine that they're not there anymore. Most games, like, let's be honest, whoever got home with a Nintendo game, opened it up, read through the manual first, and then started playing. No, you popped it in, you started playing, you learned everything you need to know, and then you looked at the manual.
Usually I'd have the manual. When I first put it in, I'd have the manual next to me while I played. And then if I couldn't do something, I'd look in the manual because there might be a solution in there.
Yeah. So
I feel you, though.
And he closes out with, also, when playing a video game, do you listen to specific albums or just the regular game music? I used to play Diablo 1 on PlayStation 1, listening to the Godsmack album with my friend. Or playing Call of Duty, listening to Nirvana's Nevermind. I think it's game dependent. Something like a first-person shooter or a fighting game, I can listen to music to. But other than that, I want to hear the game sounds and whatnot. For everything they've done wrong, one thing the original Xbox did right was the custom soundtracks. Certain games, that was a really nice touch. But yeah, fighting games, some first-person shooters, sure I can listen to it. Most other games, no.
I prefer the in-game music by and large, especially if a game has a good soundtrack. Not all do, but I find, unless it was like the Xbox situation where I could change the background music but keep all the sound effects and stuff,
yeah.
I find I find music distracting to the game I'm playing. I like to kind of be immersed in the game. So,
Yep.
but yeah. Anyway,
Cool. Tom, thank you very much for your questions. Everyone, thank you for your questions. We definitely appreciate them. All right. That brings cross-examination to a close. Now we got to get into some news. And by the looks of my co-host, it's a good thing there's not that much news to go through this week. He's fading fast, folks.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
All right. So, currently going on right now in Germany is Gamescom. Are you familiar with Gamescom?
So many cons. No, I'm not. Sounds familiar, but is it a video game convention?
It's like E3,
But Germany?
before they let the fans in. It's like
So it's still a pure developer and press event.
yeah.
Okay.
And some trailers have been released.
Oh?
You can kind of largely you're not going to care about most of this. Sorry. So we got new trailers for both Dragon Ball Z Fighters and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I watched them both today.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Watching the Dragon Ball Z trailer and then watching the Marvel trailer is like going from riding the most insane, crazy fun roller coaster you've ever been on in your life to riding the old-timey cars at Fantasy Island.
Man. So would you say Capcom is really dropping the ball here?
I don't...
Like what did they expect? What are they trying to do? Everyone seems to not like this game.
Well, let's give Capcom some credit. The visual complaints from previous builds of the game have
They're
been
slowly
by and
addressing
large addressed. Chun-Li's face,
Chun-Li's
Dante's face, things like that. The graphics...
Cap looks terrible.
Cap still looks bad. The graphics seem a little more polished, but again, the art style is just very bland. It's very... It doesn't really have a personality. It looks
I
like
would
the
agree.
art style you would put on a box for a product of like an action figure. It's
Okay.
like product art. The roster is drawing the brunt of the criticism because it's basically typically when a sequel fighting game comes out, you usually want to do kind of like 50-50. 50% returning characters, 50% new characters.
Okay.
Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is like 80-20. 80% returning characters and 20% new characters. So it's, and like we discussed earlier in the week, like you're like, what's wrong with the roster? I'm just like, it's kind of, here's a better roster, and you're like, okay.
You spit some fire with that roster. I was like, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just.
So given all that,
And then you've got like Dragon Ball Z, which is because Capcom is trying to make Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite user friendly to new players.
okay,
So it's lacking, like it's not 3 versus 3, it's 2 versus 2. They've taken out like the assists and a lot of the stuff that contributed to the high level play of previous Marvel vs. Capcom games. Dragon Ball Z has all that. On top of an incredible art style, incredible animation, characters people know and love, with a roster that so far every edition has been welcomed.
so given that, is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite gonna flop? Game's got some bad buzz. I feel like it's gonna come out and it's gonna be kind of like, meh.
I don't think it's going to be an abject failure per se, but I don't think it's going to be the success they're building up to be, and I think they're starting to realize that too. I'm not crazy about. I don't mind DLC. I hate when you say, okay, we've got DLC coming like within a reasonable time frame after the release. Like if it's something that if you just push back the release a little bit that you could just put on the disc, I'd rather you do that.
If it's not already on the disc.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of times it's already on the disc, but so they're advertising like DLC, Venom, Black Panther, Winter Soldier are going to be like, I think they're the first wave DLC characters, but they haven't given us anything to get really excited over. Like right now, I'm not seeing a huge reason for me to buy this game. And you know me in fighting games,
Yeah.
especially Capcom fighting games.
That's your bread and butter.
I love them. But right now, like my money is going towards Dragon Ball. Because it just looks insanely more fun.
All right.
So yeah. So those two trailers were released. We also got a first look at the space battles in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And oh, Drew.
Huh.
Carl wants now.
Okay.
It's freaking amazing. Like,
Are you at all worried about this game being what's the term I was looking for? Is it being a little too ambitious? Are you worried about a little jack of all trades, master of none kind of gameplay, or does it?
I'm not, because pretty much every complaint that people had with the first Battlefront last year is being addressed.
Okay.
Chief complaint was no single player mode. There's a single player mode.
Okay.
Our chief complaint was the price of and sporadic release of DLC. DLC's coming. It's going to be free. With the space battles in Battlefront, one of the complaints was lack of ship variety. Like with the Rebels, you had the X-Wing and the A-Wing, and you could, if you found like an item on a board, you could take over the Millennium Falcon. With the Imperials, you had the TIE Fighter and TIE Interceptor. You found something, you could get Slave 1.
Okay.
That was all well and good, but again, lack of variety. You couldn't upgrade the ships at all. The way you could upgrade like the troops and whatnot, you could do all that in this one. There's a much bigger variety of ships. They showed off like the stage that they showed off was a space battle and Imperial shipyards, where you're trying to get to a point where you can blow up a Star Destroyer that's nearing completion of its construction. And just like they showed off, there's for the Rebels, there's the X-Wing, the A-Wing, the Y-Wing, the Millennium Falcon's a hero ship, Poe Dameron's a hero ship. For the Imperials, you have TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor, TIE Bomber, which looks crazy strong. And the hero ship they showed off for the Imperials was Darth Maul and the Sith Infiltrator, the Scimitar, which I always thought, problems with Phantom Menace aside, that was a cool looking ship. You look like you're trying to remember what it looked like.
This was a prequel ship?
Yeah, from episode 1.
Ugh.
It's like the ball kind of had the TIE Interceptor wings with a long nose on it. I'll show you afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not.
Don't
know what
the gameplay just looks incredibly fun, and the graphics are fantastic. It's just, I'm really excited about this game.
Nice.
So, yeah. So that was
Make
all
that Star Wars experience that much deeper.
Yes. So that was the stuff that happened the past couple days from Gamescom. Moving on to stuff that happened earlier in the week, starting with the announcement that a lot of us pretty much predicted, but we predicted it was going to be one of two things. The next Star Wars Legacy film.
This hasn't been announced yet.
Well, it's all
but the
confirmed.
reports are, yeah.
It is said to be Obi-Wan Kenobi film. The Vegas odds makers were setting this at either Obi-Wan Kenobi or a Boba Fett film. I'm happy with this news. The two Star Wars movies we've had since Disney took over have been fantastic. They've revitalized the franchise. Obi-Wan Kenobi's a character that, Ewan McGregor, his performance was so great in the prequels. It's just like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, what are you doing in these really bad movies?
He tried.
He did. No, he nailed Kenobi.
He had the accent.
His performance was good. He was just a good character in bad movies.
I could tell he cared. I'll give him that.
If only George cared.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully, I'm hoping that he will
come back,
be cast,
yeah,
as Kenobi. If they don't do like a story set in between episodes 3 and 4, I would actually want them to go way back and show me like young Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe starting out as training. Maybe bring Liam Neeson back as Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, I don't know about all that.
I know you're not big on this news.
Well, it was predictable, and it's fine. Ewan McGregor coming back makes sense.
Which has not been confirmed, but
no,
this is what,
but it's assumed. But
yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do it, I have to assume.
I mean, you recorded lines for Force Awakens.
Yeah, if that's the plan, I have to assume that they have him on board. I mean, otherwise, don't do it. I don't. It's it's more prequel stuff, and I want this franchise to move forward. I think what's happening to me is I am getting Star Wars fatigue. It's happening. I kind of was fighting it, but it's starting to get me. I don't know when it happened exactly, but it's happened in the last 6 months or so. I'm just starting to feel like this. Oh yeah, we are getting a movie a year, aren't we?
We've only had 2 movies at this point.
I know, but they were in back-to-back years, and TIE Fighters and X-Wings and Death Stars and the Falcon. It's like, yeah, I like all that stuff, but I can't miss you if you don't go away.
So is this kind of like we've had this kind of running discussion the past couple episodes of order of priority of passions? Because like you don't seem to have this fatigue with the Marvel stuff where we're getting 2 movies a year and we're now getting like 2 Netflix shows a year. So
I think we talked about this a little
bit. So is Marvel just kind of higher on the priority passion than Star Wars is?
I think Marvel does a better job of shielding itself, no pun intended, Marvel, because the franchises are, there's so many characters in different movies. So like Ant-Man is not Civil War, and like Civil War isn't Spider-Man, like they're different movies. So they're a little more resistant to like, okay, more of this. Star Wars, and Disney. Let me clarify what I mean. What I'm about to say. I appreciate them for doing this, and I know why they did it. Disney is using basically all original trilogy kind of nostalgia to fuel all this stuff, which is smart. They're avoiding the prequels as best they can because they know there's no real equity in the visuals or, there's nothing iconic in those movies in the prequels.
Not to us, because we are original trilogy fans. There's a whole generation of Star Wars fans that the prequel trilogy is their original trilogy.
Disney has spreadsheets. They have a team of analysts and merchandisers that know that stuff ain't selling tchotchkes. Period.
Because you can still buy the original stuff for dirt cheap.
Nah, there's no there. So they're gonna do all the original trilogy stuff, which is why Starkiller Base is the Death Star, which is why X-Wings, which is why TIE Fighters, which is why Force Awakens is kind of, but it had to do that, and I'm glad it did. Kind of got everyone
to reestablish,
right? Made everyone feel warm and fuzzy. But then we get Rogue One, which, while a fine movie, again is steeped in that stuff. Look at it. Here's the Walker. Remember the Walker? Yes, I do remember the Walker.
Yeah, but that's. I don't think they're doing that for...
My point being,
it's a military vehicle, sir. It's not just going to show up in one location.
Justify it how you got to justify it. I'm just saying that they are... And again, I know and I understand and I agree with their reasoning. But for me, 2 years straight of just like, Star Wars. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. And it's like, yep, I might need a break. You might want to take a little breather. So here's the thing. Last Jedi hasn't come out yet. I'm hopeful that it propels the franchise forward with some new ideas and doubles down on new characters instead of relying on, because Han's gone now. Spoilers. Leia will be gone. Sad spoilers.
One form or another.
So, they have, and Rey and Finn and Poe, we like them and they're new. Let's like give them They shared the stage. Now let's give them the main stage. You know what I mean? And all this talk now that like Last Jedi might be an Empire Strikes Back redo, I hope that's not true. I really hope that's not true. I hope they figured out their own story and they're going to take it in their own direction. I want to see things kind of move forward a little bit. And this Han Solo movie, again, here we go, looking back. Millennium Falcon, and there's Lando, and and then not to mention all the drama behind the scenes. It doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. I'm glad that, if there was a problem, I'm glad Disney might have realized oh boy, we got to get this horse back on the track. Good. I hope you do. But again, you're doubling down. You're feeding me stuff that we know. You're giving me the warm fuzzy nostalgia, and I might be my belly's a little full of the nostalgia right now. So here's how they could fix it. Number one, Last Jedi, go to new places, show me new stuff. Cool. Obi-Wan movie. So I'm a little because again we're gonna go back. Do something completely different. Now it's Star Wars. I know they feel that it's got to be a certain way, hence why they got rid of the directors on Han Solo, because those guys apparently were delivering a different product than Disney wanted. But if you're going to make the Obi-Wan movie, let's buck the Star Wars trend a little bit. And this is going to I can't believe I'm going to say this because it's going to sound so predictable. It's so Hollywood when something does well. But you know what they should do? They should make the Obi-Wan movie like Logan. Singular character focus, small scale, small stakes, minimal locations.
Okay.
Like an Obi-Wan Western.
So you really don't want him leaving Tatooine?
No. Just set it on Tatooine, have him get involved in some local skirmishes. He's got to take on some crime bosses. You have some cantina scenes. He's kind of a mysterious gunslinger / whatever. Keep it small and real character focus, though. Give it some depth.
Yeah.
Do that, and I might just show me something different that I haven't seen before. And I think that would be an interesting take, an interesting play with it, because that I'm not gonna rely on X-wings and TIE fighters and hyperspace and stuff.
But these are things that are part of this world. They're not. I mean,
that's fine.
If
marshmallows are part of Lucky Charms, but if I can't eat it every day.
If I'm going to see a Star Wars film, I want to see X-wings and TIE fighters, and I think you can use those as not a main focus, but just part of the backdrop, especially like they did in Rogue One. I mean, yes, we both agree that Force Awakens is kind of beat for beat remaking Star Wars, and again, it's what they needed to do.
But it's
to
a good, well done
the
one.
Brand.
Yeah,
Rogue One is unlike any Star Wars story that's been told leading up to it, and it was really good. We both really enjoyed that movie.
I've only watched it the once, and I'm scared to watch it again.
Yeah, that makes no logical sense to me whatsoever. But
because of this creeping feeling,
I think I'm going to say this. I'm not saying it's like take a dig or antagonize an argument or anything. I think you really love the original 3 movies, but you're not crazy about the world. Whereas with Marvel, I think you love the world, and the movies just facilitate that world.
I'm not exactly sure.
I think if all Star Wars today stopped, if all you ever had was Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi, you'd be perfectly happy.
I would be, yes.
See, you don't. I think it's a love for 3 movies, not love for the world. I have a love for the world. I've gone through 20 plus years of either crap Star Wars or no Star Wars, and now I'm getting 2 movies that have been fantastic. I'm getting a freaking amusement park that's going to allow me to walk onto the Millennium Falcon and sit in Han Solo's seat.
Yeah.
I'm getting games that are higher quality than they've ever been before. I'm getting an expanded world and stories that I never knew that I wanted until they give them to me. I'm okay with all this. And I don't think there's anything wrong with where I think you are on. I just think that's where you are on it.
My guard is up. You know what it's like to me? It's kind of like before this all happened with Disney revitalizing Star Wars the way they have, it's like I'm a kid and someone says like, we're going to eat all the pizza in the world. And you're like, yes, yes. And then you get like 5 slices in. You're just like, this is a terrible idea. I'm so full. I don't want any more pizza for a while. I'm kind of like that right now at Star Wars.
Which is funny because, like, with Marvel, they're like, yes, you're going to eat all the pizza in the world. When you can't eat anymore, we're going to shove it in every orifice we can.
I disagree. I think Marvel's doing a good job of keeping it diverse and expanding and taking steps. And after Infinity War, I got a feeling they're going to take a big step. I don't know what it's going to look like exactly, but... And that and Marvel is still relatively new. Star Wars has had 40 years to kind of take hold. And what are they doing? They're still feeding you the 40-year-old visual and story tropes. And again, like, where's the new? Let's branch out a little bit. That's just me. I'm getting fatigued. If these movies were coming out every 2 to 3 years, it'd be a little different. Because again, like I said, I can't miss you if you don't go away. Well, Star Wars is kind of an omnipresent since Force Awakens, and it shows
Marvel's
no sign of going away.
Marvel's been omnipresent since 2008.
Again, diversity though. I'm not getting a Thor movie every year. I'm getting a Thor movie every 3 years. I'm getting a Cat movie every 3 years. I'm getting an Iron Man movie every 3 years. Then we get the big shebang with Avengers every 3 to 5. I mean, there's just more diversity to it to keep it fresh.
I mean, I get what you're saying in some ways, but again, I think it's just you love the Marvel world, you like the original Star Wars movies, not so much love for the world.
I guess. I don't know. I suppose so.
Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Just having fun conversation.
Okay.
We'll be over here having fun with my lightsaber.
You do that. I'm good.
Okay, so last story we have for this week, most show relevant. We got our first teaser for The Punisher earlier in the week.
Yes, we did.
I will let you go. Because you are much more Punisher-centric than I am.
It's a teaser, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I mean,
it wasn't a ton there.
It's John Bernthal, and it sets the tone. They could have did a better.
Tone is what we were definitely hoping for.
They could have did a better job with the skull reveal when he walks away with the floor. It's like, yeah.
You just want everything handed to you, don't you? You don't want to you don't want to have to search for anything. You just want everything unless it's a Zelda game. You want everything just explained to you nice and easy, don't you?
No. I'm saying the way they did the skull with the sledgehammer, and he walks away, and it looked fake. It looked cheap. Like they could have. Maybe instead of doing the computer thing, actually have some guys go out there with some hammers and do. And
are you saying you cannot make a Punisher skull with a sledgehammer in your driveway?
Concrete's expensive, so I'm not going to do it. But Marvel's got the money; they can do a better job.
It is expensive.
It is. Oh my god! But no, it looks cool. I mean, it sets the tone. I'm curious to see. I've actually been thinking a lot about it. What is it going to be? What's it going to look like? How are they going to keep Frank interesting as a protagonist who is like, he is not a relatable person, man. Like, he is a grim figure with few redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious how they're going to portray that in a show and do it successfully to keep viewer interest. Because what works in comics might not necessarily work in a show about the guy.
Yeah.
What works on a page,
especially over 13 episodes.
Yeah. We'll see. I've just been giving it a lot of thought. Like, how are they going to do it? I want it to be cool because he's a great character. I love the Punisher. So yeah, I'm excited. Bring it on. I guess it is it's coming soon, like November allegedly. They still haven't said. But
yeah, if they follow their kind of release schedule that they've established, November, March.
All right,
Netflix shows.
That means in March, I believe Jessica Jones season 2 will be coming out.
Probably. All right. That's the one I know.
They're filming now.
I know Jessica Jones is filming now. I think Luke Cage is also filming now.
Oh, okay. Bring on Luke.
So, yeah.
And then after that, Daredevil season 3.
And then Iron Fist season 2.
With a new showrunner.
I will say
there is hope.
No spoilers.
Okay.
Defenders is to Iron Fist what Wonder Woman was to the DC Cinematic Universe.
Kind of redeemed it a little bit.
Doesn't 100% fix it. Definitely stops the bleeding and makes it a lot better.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Did you crush Defenders?
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Oh, you animal. Okay. All right.
We did 2 episodes a night.
You beast. Okay.
It's only 8 episodes.
I know. All right. Cool.
All right, so that being said, for the first time in a long time, it is time to rustle them. You're not rustling papers.
I'm rustling my phone.
What'd you do?
I took notes on the phone this time.
Man.
I was on my couch.
You get sick. You just go... You get sick. You don't like Star Wars anymore. You don't take notes on paper.
I'm saving trees, man.
Get better, man. Take some NyQuil night or something.
I told you, it's no good for me.
I don't care. Mix it with Sudafed. Rub it on your gums. I don't care. All right. So before we get into the review, I just want to share, having completed, no spoilers. Overall, I think Defender series, a lot of fun. Not perfect. Lots of fun.
Okay.
The 8 episodes format, fantastic. I almost want them to do that for all the shows.
So to avoid that mid-season slump?
Kind of.
Okay.
Because, and it treats it, it feels more like a comic book story arc that way too. Because you don't really have time for a lot of fluff. There's some fluff in there, and it's good fluff. But a lot of the fluff that happened with like mid-season Luke Cage.
See, look, notes. See, my phone.
Yeah.
See,
So it was really good, really enjoyable. There are a couple things they did that are kind of becoming tropes, not just in not so much as far as just the Netflix shows, but as superhero film show genre as a whole. Couple things that I was kind of like, were you gonna explain this somehow? But overall, it's good.
Okay,
it's really good.
Well, we're going to talk about these.
Really
things.
Enjoyable. Yes. All right.
Starting off with the first episode.
Starting off with the first episode of Defenders, episode 1, The H Word.
All right.
So, Drew, I'm curious. What are your first impressions of this show?
I got a lot of warm and fuzzies watching this episode.
Oh, you have no idea the warm and fuzzies that are coming in the next 2 episodes.
Okay.
Especially.
All right. Just overall, I don't know what it is, but even like when I watched the trailer, even just seeing Danny Rand, who I think is an insufferable, I hate him so much in the show, but in the trailer I saw him talking to Luke Cage, and I'm like, wow, Luke Cage and Danny Rand are talking to each other, and I got the warm and fuzzies. I don't know why, I just did.
Yeah.
So now I'm watching this show, which is a new Marvel show, and every time someone cool that I liked from another show came on screen, I'm like, all right, cool. This is happening now. Like I was just taken in. I don't know why. I just was. So my overall impression was like, all right, I'm liking this. Like when Luke comes back, I'm like, Luke, I get that. I like Mark out just from seeing him on screen. I know he's in the show, but he shows up and was like, all right, Luke's here.
It feels like a world now.
Yeah.
It's a complete world. And one thing I noticed that they did, each series, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, had a specific color palette to it.
Yes.
And they maintain that in this episode when the individual characters are on screen. And I thought that was really cool that they did that, because it kind of just like re-familiarizes you with the individual worlds that these their own worlds that are now kind of all colliding together.
Yeah.
But we get an opening scene in Cambodia, sewer fight.
Spoilers, it's Danny.
It's Danny.
And
he's
Colleen.
doing stuff.
And Colleen.
It's Bart. He's doing stuff.
So, having not finished having not finished Iron Fist, I guess.
Do you want me to just tell you what happens at the end?
Sure.
Okay, so Danny and Colleen go to Kunlun Or
Yeah.
at least they think they're going to go to Kunlun.
Okay.
And he gets to Kunlun, and the door's closed, and you can tell that everyone's dead. The hand has apparently attacked Kunlun.
Okay, so that there is spoilers. There is a flashback or a vision that Danny has in Defenders
Yes.
in this episode
and
of that.
when they're flying back to New York.
Yes.
That's kind of like what happened. Like, you don't see it, but like they show up at Kunlun and like, or at
Bodies.
least the doorway to Kunlun, and like the person who would guard the doorway is dead and everything. So yeah, the hand
Okay.
culled Kunlun. More or less.
Man, I hope some of the choice characters from Kunlun survive.
Fat Cobra.
Fat
Where are you at?
Fat Cobra, man, and the Thunderer, and just Anyway,
Yeah. So there's a fight in the sewers. There's a dude with a sword fighting another person cloaked with two smaller swords. I mean, clearly, if you've watched any trailers going into it, you kind of know that that's Elektra.
yes.
And Elektra is back from the dead, but she's not, air finger quotes, Elektra.
No, she seems to be a little confused about her purpose.
Yeah. And we've discussed this in the comics. When you are killed by the hand, they have the ability to bring you back and put you into their service.
So, question about that.
Yeah.
Based on what I do know about Iron Fist, and I don't, if this is all going to come, yeah. Okay, so no spoilers, all right?
Yeah.
Elektra is all like in the service of the hand now, right? Sort of brainwashed, if you will, or at least confused about her role or whatever. So what was up with stupid rich dad in Iron Fist who came back? Meacham was that
Meacham was kind of,
they brought him back and he was normal, like he wasn't a hand lackey. He was like in hiding for the betterment of his kids and stuff, but like he wasn't like.
I would say it's not a good explanation, but I would just say that maybe they have the ability to, like, I don't know, maybe there's different ways of bringing you back.
All right,
So again, it's not a good explanation, but
that's what we have.
yeah, there is going to be. I think what you're going to notice in this series is that there's a lot of little plot holes that never quite get plugged up, but you're okay with because A, you're having a great time, and B, it's a comic book.
We can't fall back on that, man.
No, I mean,
the bar is too high for that.
The world that these characters are occupying on the screen is most times off the page from what the world they occupied in the comic books.
All right.
Sometimes there's little things that, and not for nothing. Dang it, there we go.
That is our favorite phrase.
There's some stuff from the past series that gets resolved. Again, those little things.
Okay.
That weren't resolved in the series that gets resolved here.
Okay. All right.
So
I guess I'll know when I get there.
Yeah.
But let's stay focused on this episode.
Yeah.
So we get the sewer fight.
Yep.
We see Elektra. She flees. Danny realizes he's got to go home, right?
Danny Iron Fisted her.
Wow.
Dude, he hit her with the Iron Fist. Where's your mind going?
Nowhere. But they did find that other guy alive, and he says the battle's in New York.
Yeah, the war you want to fight is in New York
Isn't that
City.
convenient? So Marvel. Everything's in New York.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I almost said it again. When you think about it, as far as the films go, none of them have been really
New York-centric?
New York-centric.
Avengers.
It ended in New York, but it
Battle in
didn't.
New York?
Yeah, that's the last like half an hour of the movie, but the movie leading up to that was all over the place.
Yeah, it's true. True.
Like when you
got me
really
there.
think about
yeah.
it.
You got me. That's true.
Like Iron Man, that was all in California.
Yeah, true.
Thor,
Asgard, and then Arizona or wherever the hell they were.
Cap.
Well, the flashback scenes in Cap, and he was in New York.
Yeah, but it was by no means New York centric.
No, you're right. He was a little more globetrotting.
Like really, the only one that's been New York centric has been
Avengers.
I wouldn't even say Avengers.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's not even New York City proper centric.
True. You're right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So they're going back to New York.
Yes.
Cut to Jessica and
Good old Jessica Jones.
Patsy Walker, Hellcat.
Yeah. Jessica
Question.
Jones towing service. Or
Yeah.
de-towing service, as you
Is
will.
Patsy ever going to suit up?
I doubt it.
Oh, man.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to see it. I doubt it.
All right.
Let's get Danny in the suit first.
Yeah,
worry about,
yeah,
don't want
definitely.
to worry about Patsy.
So then we cut to Luke.
Yeah, we're kind of catching up with everyone.
Yeah, the show is kind of
Sure.
the big catch up here. So Luke's
Actually,
getting free.
the first half hour of the show is kind of like that first page of a Marvel comic where they kind of catch you up on everything that's happened
a little
prior.
bit, a little bit.
So yeah, so Luke's getting out of jail.
Okay, without spoiling the rest of the series for me, do they
Okay.
explain how he gets out of jail?
The dogs seem to think they do. No,
Okay, so he just goes.
just that. Well, you got to remember they had the Bobby Fish found the file at the end of Luke Cage, the file that proved his innocence.
But do we even know what he was? Okay, that was my question with Luke Cage when we,
Yeah.
the series.
Yeah.
Why was he in jail to begin with? And he escapes from prison, has to go back. Now we're in Defenders. He's getting out.
Yeah.
How?
Well, it's as we see, Foggy's there. Going back to
Foggy's new firm.
Foggy's new firm, Hogarth's firm that we met from Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
They are kind of taking an interest in people with abilities cases. So they're probably working for Luke Cage, understanding who he really is.
Gotcha.
What he was really doing. So they're probably like, you've got high-powered lawyers
Okay.
working on this guy's case.
So they found a way and they got him out.
I think as far as like the contents of the file and stuff that happens in his past, they don't touch on it in this series, but Luke Cage season 2.
Okay.
Let's.
Foggy got a haircut too, by the way.
Yeah, Foggy's really cleaned up. I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, this is kind of like Wall Street Foggy.
Yeah, he's
little
got the
creepy.
Gordon Gecko slick back hair and just
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like it or not.
people call me Foggy. And you let them?
Yeah, that's a good line.
It was a good little exchange between Luke and Foggy.
Now, Matt.
Now we find Matt.
Matt's kicking butt in court.
Yeah, Matt is still a really good lawyer.
Well,
But
better
apparently-
lawyer than he was.
Apparently, and we get into this later in the episode, Matt is not Daredevil anymore.
No.
Which brings us to one of those tropes I was talking about earlier, which is kind of starting to become more popular.
the hero renouncing
The
the
hero
role.
having a defeat, Elektra dying,
Yes.
and then renouncing the role.
Yep.
When-
Seen it with Spidey, seen it with Daredevil.
Spidey, Batman, Daredevil, just it's like, okay, if he quits being Daredevil, you've kind of undone everything you did to develop him in the first 2 seasons for his dedication to being Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like
Especially
get
season 2 especially was focused on him finally realizing this is part of my life.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Yeah, like I get that losing Elektra is a big blow, but when he lost Elektra in the comics, he didn't sit around
Nah, he's
moping.
he's
for
Daredevil.
months. He went back out and got back at it. So yeah, and I don't. One of the things I didn't like in this episode, and it kind of shows up in other episodes. I'm only mentioning because they did it a lot in this episode, so it's not a big surprise. How Karen and Foggy kind of treat Matt's life as Daredevil as like a bad addiction that they're trying to help him overcome, almost like he's in AA or whatnot.
Well, I mean, that's not given the effect it's had on their lives. I can see that though. That makes sense. He's put them in danger either, not through it.
Yeah, not directly,
Not
but
directly,
because
because
of
of his life, and they're caring for him and saying you're gonna get yourself. It is kind of like an addiction. It is kind of like being friends with someone with a very bad habit, and they want to help him. So I don't know. That's not the worst thing in the world. I can see it makes sense in the context of the show.
I think their motives are good, but I think I'm not crazy about Matt's reaction to it. I guess you'll see it in later episodes.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on that.
So Matt gives some life lessons to the kid in the wheelchair, and we see
Yeah.
that he is, despite everything that's happened, he is still Matt Murdock.
Sure.
He's still the character we've known, love. It's just there's a little part missing, a little part with horns missing.
Now we're introduced to Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
So she's I don't know anything about her so far.
No, you will
She's
learn.
Some kind of rich socialite, and she's dying.
And she dresses stormtrooper chic.
Sure. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here
Okay.
She's dying. The Hand are known to bring people back from the dead. Could there be a connection?
Like, how much do you want me to tell you?
I'm going to watch the show. I'll find out.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, watching the episode, like, I wonder where this is going to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially since later on, spoilers, we see her sitting with Madame Gao.
Yes.
And kind of giving orders to Madame Gao.
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of interesting, given what we know about Madame Gao.
Madame Gao is one of the highlights, not only of this series, but I think of any series that she's appeared in so far. She's a really great villain character, and I enjoy every time we get to see her.
Well, I'm curious to see what's this relationship here. What's the connection?
All right.
So moving forward, Jessica is getting weird phone calls.
Well,
telling her
at
not
first
to
she's
take a case.
approached for help on a case.
Right.
And it's nothing she hasn't heard before. She thinks it's a very simple answer. Your husband's cheating on you.
Yeah. Then the phone call. Don't take that case in a disguised voice. Well, usually when that happens, that means someone doesn't want you to take the case. There's more to it than you think. Stay away.
And I think
it just can't resist.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see Jessica is trying to hold on to the person that she's been, the person that we kind of got to know in the first season of Jessica Jones.
Okay.
Whereas we see through Patsy, like, what she did is known. And, it's kind of big knowledge that Kilgrave is who he was.
Right.
What he was able to do was for real. And, like, she's getting offers to tell her story and whatnot, but she doesn't want that. She just wants to be left alone.
Be normal.
With her whiskey.
Yeah. She's a very functional alcoholic, I got to tell you.
Yeah, she, if not for her enhanced abilities.
Is that what they're explaining it? Why she doesn't get all tore up all day?
They don't say it in the show, but I mean, you got to enhance strength and just kind of transfer to.
Because she drinks a lot.
She does.
Claire and Luke have coffee.
Yes. Claire and Luke have coffee.
And
then we have
like
a conversation. Luke wants to know about Harlem. Misty shows up.
Misty shows up.
Misty.
And once again, I watch the show. I'm like, Misty's here. All right, cool.
Dude, everybody's here.
It's very cool.
Bringing everybody together. So yeah, Luke. This part I was kind of perplexed at because in the season of Luke Cage, Claire is trying to get Luke to help people.
Yes.
With his abilities.
Yes.
And in this episode, we see she's kind of like, maybe not so much you do that anymore. Maybe you do it in different ways. She's kind of like steering him away from the hero life, more or less.
Well, seeing as she also saw him get nearly killed and had to take a bath in acid to fix himself and things like that, and the big battle with Diamondback that kind of wrecked a good portion of Harlem.
Yeah.
Maybe she just help people, but maybe not so much with the violent theater fights and whatnot.
And Misty's kind of taking not the exact same route, but a very similar route. Like she doesn't so much like Luke's asking, "What's Mariah doing? What Shade's doing? What's going on in Harlem?" And even Misty's like, we want you to help, but not in the way you're thinking. Like there's this kid who suffered some loss here and could use some guidance.
Yeah. I did find, now that you bring that up, I did find it a little, I don't want to say disingenuous, but it was a little jarring to see Misty, especially, like, I'm not really in Harlem anymore. Now she's, like, overseeing, like, the whole city. She's part of, like, a special task force. It felt a little weird to, like, these characters that were really built on loving Harlem and being steeped in it and wanting to defend it are now like, oh yeah, I went away now. I'm big.
Well, I mean, Misty even still says that, even though this is going on, Harlem is still home.
Yeah.
And I think like you can't begrudge someone career advancement.
No, I know. It was just a little jarring to me because, like you said, with Claire and now Misty, that like their characters seem a little different.
Yeah.
But
a little bit. I mean, characters grow; they change.
True.
I don't think what else we got. We got Matt and Karen reconnecting over coffee, and we see that not the Luke Cage style coffee, but actual coffee in a cup, liquid.
Oh, right,
hot
right.
brewed beans.
Right. Sorry.
And I guess the reveal. This is. I kind of hope episode 1 of Daredevil season 3 kind of picks up right where season 2 left off, and we see how the reveal went. But if all indications from this meeting, the reveal did not go smoothly.
No, apparently not.
Because Karen is, again, like we mentioned earlier, she doesn't seem certain on the Daredevil persona, whereas Foggy is dead set against Matt being Daredevil.
And it's kind of weird.
And Karen has kind of a different perspective because Daredevil saved her life on more than one occasion.
Right.
So she has seen firsthand the good that Daredevil can do.
But finding out that it's Matt now suddenly complicates things.
Yeah. Because not only is there romantic feelings there, but there's also like you don't want to see your friend get killed.
Yeah. It's a little contradictory in a way. Like, you were all about Daredevil before.
Yeah.
Now it's someone you know, and now you're going to be kind of like, don't do it anymore.
And even in this meeting, she's saying, hey, Daredevil did good. The crime rates are down, so on and so forth.
True.
So it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
So I kind of hope we could see how that moment after the reveal went.
And Matt, has to relay. He's grieving still, and that's why he is no longer doing the good work.
Yeah.
So Luke is doing some investigating into that.
Yeah, apparently kids around Harlem are getting conned into employment that is less than reputable.
Yeah.
And they're ending up dead.
Yes.
So Luke wants to get to the bottom of that, but he stops off the last. If you go back to Luke Cage, if you remember Luke Cage season 1, Candace, who originally was testifying against Luke, saying Luke killed Cottonmouth.
Right.
And then was going to testify for Luke, and then Shades put a bullet in her head. So this kid that Misty points out to Luke is Candace's brother, and his other brother is the one that was killed.
Yes.
So right now there's just this kid left, and that's who Luke goes to visit and kind of, I think, does everything he can to kind of try and help this kid. And even when this kid, calls Luke a hero, Luke's like, I'm not a hero, just trying to do what's right.
Yes. I was trying to work in a
dynamite drop.
I was trying to find I was reaching for a for hire pun, but I couldn't make one. So Luke's not a hero yet, but he could be one.
He could be
if you pay him. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah. Which is weird because when you go back to the conversation he was having with Claire, they were kind of like, I thought that's the direction the conversation was kind of going, like be a hero for hire.
But you know what? That doesn't jibe with his character, though.
It really doesn't. Like,
Luke
I
take,
get that that's where exactly. I get that's where the character came from.
Yeah, I think
in the comics,
he's gone beyond that, though.
I don't like. I can see him and Danny working together, but not as quote unquote heroes for hire.
Yeah, they're not. This is not a paycheck for them.
Yeah.
Luke is no. He's too nice a guy. Jess is doing her own investigating into the dude allegedly cheating on his wife.
Yeah, we see Malcolm from Jessica Jones, another family character coming back, and Malcolm's all cleaned up. And
now she does her own investigating, and my note says she finds a whole bunch of C4.
She finds a lot of boom boom sticks.
Yes.
Crates of it in this guy's apartment.
Yeah. Why would he have that? I wonder.
I mean, I know, but once again,
I guess we'll see.
This could be an interesting dynamic until you get caught. So are you gonna try and knock out the series before we get to the end of it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll probably finish it before then. But for now, I just watched the one episode. We got some more stuff with Madame Gao and Sigourney Weaver.
Yes.
And they're right near St. Patrick's Cathedral, by the way.
Yeah. This same location, if you remember from Daredevil season 1, that Wilson Fisk met up with Madame Gao.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at
Okay.
Miss Wilson.
Okay. Then there's an earthquake.
Yes.
In New York.
Which are not common in New York.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And we see how like all the characters are reacting to the earthquake, and the episode kind of ends with the reveal of Elektra,
Right.
that she's
alive. Spoilers.
That scene you've seen in like all the trailers, it's just a city. You'll get used to watching them fall. And then it kind of ends with Matt kind of hearing everything.
This is Matt's, well, at least the way I look at it, Matt, this is your call to action, buddy.
Yeah, because we see him
can't hide anymore.
He has a scene with the priest.
Yep.
In the confessional.
Yep.
Where Matt's struggling with not being Daredevil, because like not only is it your calling, with Matt's abilities, he is constantly reminded.
Yeah.
That he is not doing what he feels his calling is.
Yep.
He's partially doing it with being a lawyer.
Sure.
But like we see in the scene that like he is almost physically restraining himself. And as us as fans are just like, get your butt in gear.
Put the suit
Go
on
out
and get out
help
there.
some people.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then it goes to credits. Oh, quick question. What'd you think of the intro sequence for the show?
I don't remember. I don't remember the sequence that much, but I do remember being immediately. I liked the theme.
Yeah,
that's all I can think of.
It's
not as good as Daredevil's theme, which I think is great.
Yep.
But I did like it. That's all I remember. I have only watched it once, so I don't remember it. But
yeah.
I just my snap judgment was I like that.
Yeah. Well, the intro sequences are always like a highlight of these shows. Very distinct, very well done.
I thought Iron Fist was...
Iron Fist is my favorite, actually.
I liked it. It didn't fulfill the show didn't fulfill the promise of the intro credits.
I know.
And I like Luke Cage's obviously as well.
I will tell you this, which is not a spoiler.
Okay.
The fight scenes in this series are more akin to Daredevil than they are to Iron Fist.
Well, then they're going to be good then. So,
yes,
all right.
They're very good.
And we know there's a hallway involved at some point. So
briefly.
There has to be. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a Marvel show.
Of course. Always.
So yeah, overall, first episode gave me the warm and fuzzies. Good to see everyone together. Well, they're not together yet, but just good to see everybody in one show, and it was very cool. I kind of got excited to see everybody, even though I've watched all these shows in succession for the sake of our show. So it's not like.
It's great to see.
It's
getting back
cool.
to the core of what our show is. It's great to see Matt again.
Yeah,
it's great because it's been over a year.
Yeah,
but I remember I first started watching Daredevil season 2 in the hospital, like shortly after the day after Julia delivered William.
I just mean we just finished watching season 2. You think I'd be like fatigued? No, hey Matt, all right, cool, new adventures of Matt. Luke, we just finished Luke before we finished Daredevil season 2. It's like, oh man, Luke, all right, cool. It just, I don't know. So it's weird. I had a very weird, excited reaction to everything kind of lining up. So I'm looking forward to more.
Trust me, more exciting moments to come.
All right, cool.
All right, folks, that brings this episode to a close. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. If you could please retweet, share our new episode announcements, we'd very much appreciate it. If you want to send in any questions or comments to the show to be read on the air, you can do so at the following locations. You can find us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to facebook.com/DevilsDoPod. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com. Or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Drew, any last thoughts?
If any listeners would like to take kindly upon me and sell me their Super NES Classic at the fair and reasonable manufacturer suggested retail price, we don't do markup here. Friends are friends, right? Right. As speaking as the guy who marked up.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't you sell the NES Classic to Jay for a bit of a markup?
No, but I did sell a Switch to Jay for a bit of a markup.
Okay.
It was a fair markup.
Jay, if you're listening, get an extra SNES Classic. Mark up the ever living crap out of it.
To be fair, him and the wife are thoroughly enjoying their Switch. So, wait, I like to think that.
I hope they would for the price they paid for it.
Oh, listen to you. Listen to you.
Well, you just spent the past couple of seconds. We're all friends here. No markup.
That's right. That's right.
You marked up one of your friends.
Hey, business is business. Anyway, I digress. I just want one. That's all.
Okay. We'll
I'll pay. How about this? I will pay a fair and reasonable markup.
Okay.
That I will determine.
Folks, thanks for joining us. Court's adjourned.